All right, yo, what is good? It is December 26th. I hope everybody had a great Christmas, spent some good time with the family, enjoyed some good food as I did. But now we are back to reality and we are back to the markets being open. They are open this week, obviously. Monday they were closed due to Christmas. I personally am not trading any live accounts, any live funded accounts, even any evals this week. I'm just strictly tape reading, building more data, of course. But I do have to say today was pretty wild for the 15-second scalping model. So we're gonna go ahead and dive into this. Like I said on Twitter, I don't for personal setups that I would have taken. I don't think this is technically a record day, but there were a couple that if you did take that I personally wouldn't have, definitely would have been an absolutely insane day P&L wise. Personally, valid, like wise, personally, what I would have taken, I did not spot any losers this morning. But kind of getting into the first one, this one was before 8:40, which is my normal window. Obviously, 8:40 we have right here, but this one is so textbook that it's kind of a no-brainer not to take because even though it's before 8:40, right here we have taken the sell side level and then immediately displaced up over. And if we look up over on the 1 minute right here, we have this 1 minute imbalance, this fair value gap right here that we're continuing to hold. No body even closed below. Consequent encroachment right there, and we continue to hold that. And as we got this scalp set up right here, obviously we displaced above this little high right here, and we would have taken an entry at that top yellow line. Let's see how much drawdown we would have had. 3 ticks of drawdown. So this is a textbook. This is like the reason I gave the 8:40 to 10:30 window is because it consistently has good moves and good setups. So that's just something to kind of keep in mind. I don't want to limit y'all to it. I know Mark is going crazy in lunch. I think he had like 3 or 4 winners over lunch going over in the PM session, but that window I have given specifically is A, so you're not on the charts all day, because if you're on the charts all day with a 15-second time frame, you're gonna drive yourself crazy. I hate to break it to you, but so that was the first setup. I do believe, kind of looking at this a little bit more, even though there's some equal lows right here, that wouldn't have been tagged in. So this was the first setup right here. I did have a couple people asking me how I incorporate DTFX. Dave teaches FX, his zones here. I'm gonna go ahead and delete this and I'll redraw it. So obviously right here we had this down movement right here, down close candles. If price is bullish, we're gonna look to see or look to expect down close candles to support price and act as support. However, in this scenario, we can use it. We can label this as a DTFX zone. So we would just get the high, mark out the low right there. Let me put this on DTFX right there. So this would be our DTFX zone right here. So when we extend up like this and there's enough room for it to come back into the zone, that's when I'll take scalp shorts, even though PA is bullish. This is something I tweeted a couple weeks ago, I think, saying it was under my checklist of like my requirements for like entry, like mental thoughts that I have that I kind of just skimmed through really quick, and this was one of them. If we have enough room to move back into the range, you can take a scalp short even though it's against structure. So right here, obviously, we had this little low right here. We closed below this fair value gap, so we could deem that as inverse. And this right here, we would have got tagged in 1, 2 candles tagged in right there. And this one went 12 points perfectly back into that zone. As you can see, that 12 points lined up almost perfectly. And as you can see, we did get a good reaction off of this zone. So we actually did have another scalp outside of this zone. Right here, we broke above this high right here. We had a little fair value gap right there. We would have got tagged in, I think, on the second candle. I don't know if this first one hit it or not. But obviously this one, it did go up to 6 points and then came back and stopped us at break even 1 tick before going up, and it would have hit 12 points. However, right after, we did get another good scalp setup. This one was a little bit, I liked it because we had closed above this 1 minute imbalance right here. As you can see that I'm circling around, and I did have kind of a bullish bias going into today up to this 17,073 level. I want to see that hit at some point. I think it was last week's high, but besides the point, we did have this clean little scalp setup right here, right after. So obviously we displaced above this high right here that I'm hovering around with a fair value gap within it, second candle. And then we set our limit at the top yellow line. This one did dabble around a little bit. It came down and took out some sell side right here, and then came up and hit almost 12 points. So it would have hit 6 points, but then that one came back to break even before absolutely ripping up. So I do kind of want to go over this. I posted this on Twitter. I posted a screenshot. I said, why would this be a bad short to take? So this is why I say keep 1 minute structure in mind. Right here, you can see this setup formed right after we closed above this inverse fair value gap, or this fair value gap turning it into an inverse. We also had taken out some sell side right here. So this is why this would have been a bad scalp short. Even though we broke below that low with some okay displacement, this is something like that I would never, ever, ever take just because it's against structure. And when we're violating bull or bearish PD arrays, price is still in a buy program. So I'm seeking buy side liquidity to be taken. So that's why that would have been deemed not a valid setup. However, we did get a bullish scalp right after that one presented. Obviously, we broke above this high right here. If I can get this to cooperate. We had a baby little fair value gap, no equal lows below, no unmitigated imbalances. We did have a baby little fair value gap that we repriced off of. I'm trying to find it, but somewhere over here, I remember seeing it. So obviously we displaced above this high, would have been tagged in at that top yellow line. This also was in alignment with that inverse that we continue to hold. And we did have some buy side up here that we could have came up and taken. So obviously this one did go 11 points before reversing. So it would have hit 6 points. We'd have been break even, and it almost hit 12 points, but not quite. Still technically a winner. And then this is one that's a little bit questionable. Something I'm still trying to build data on because I see this happen a lot, especially when conditions are, we could deem them as low probability or low volatility. Something I'm trying to build data on is if we mitigate a fair value gap like this, right? And we have equal highs present, and then we get a scalp set up after that, I'm trying to decide if I want to deem it valid because I see these work a lot. They're not my personal favorite, but I do see them happen a lot. So that's, like I said, something I'm just trying to build data on because, like I said, we do technically have equal highs up here, which is something I do not, like if equal highs are above, I will not take a short setup. So obviously, something I'm trying to build data on, but this is something I want to note. Obviously, we mitigated that fair value gap, displaced, broke that low right there, also broke the high that put in, or the low that put in that high. And then as you can see, we'd have been tagged in right there. This one only took 1.25 points of heat before just absolutely melting, hitting 6 right there, going break even, hitting 12, and then pulling our break even to 6 points. And then this one actually went, so the full target would have been hit 18 points, but this one actually did come all the way down to, I think this is a 15-minute fair value gap, went 31 points, which on the amount of volatility we had today is pretty nuts, honestly. So obviously right after that we did get another scalp out of this 15-minute fair value gap. Obviously we did have this little, actually no, we IO fed that right there. As you can see, I'll zoom in a little bit. So this is completely valid right here. As you can see, we top tick that. So that's all I need. I need, if there's a fair value, if there's like, if the candle or the wick would have stopped up here, I would not count this. This would not be a valid scalp right here. But since we IO'd that, we literally top ticked it. It's 100% valid. So obviously right here, we displace above this high right here. We get our gone. We draw our fair value gap, or within our fair value gap, set a limit at the top yellow line. As you can see, this one did go up to 10.75 points before coming back to break even. And then we kind of just chopped around before getting a good move up. Yeah, again, this is like I was saying, this is I'm trying to build data on, just like that other one I was talking about. We repriced off this fair value gap right here, but we did have some equal highs up here. This is something I was kind of about because we are also, let's go over on the 1 minute. Where is it? We did have this 1 minute fair value gap right here that we were in at the time of the, wait, no, I'm not in the right spot. Where is it? Yeah, right here. This 1 minute fair value gap right here. This is something I was kind of questionable about because we were repricing off a 15-minute fair value gap. I was maybe expecting us to continue a little bit higher, but besides the point, like I was saying, this is something I'm trying to gain data on, is if we reprice off a fair value gap with equal highs above and our scalp setup presents, that's something that's possibility to be a valid entry. But besides the point, this one had absolutely zero drawdown. Not sure on a demo this would fill, but on a live account, I don't think this would have filled you. Maybe it would have filled like partial contracts, but this one was pretty good setup, I would say. This one did go, so obviously we'd go break even right there, and then we'd have one at 12 right there, so our stop would go to where our 6 was, and this one did end up going 18 points down here, right over there. And then right after right after that one, we had a clean little setup right out of this DTFX zone right here. Obviously we displaced above this high right here, had our baby little fair value gap right there. This one did dig a little bit deep, but this is like why I like using 12-point stops, especially on low volatility days. It gives room for the trade to breathe. So this is like, this should explain why I do it. It helps the win rate. 12 points on a volatile day is not a lot. Like back in August and the month after, these moves were like minuscule compared to this, yet they were still yielding the same thing. So once we get some more volatility in the market, expect these moves to last maybe, like these scalp setups will last realistically probably 1 minute to 2 minutes, 3 minutes max. But when we're in like volatility like this, they're gonna last probably close to 10 minutes unless you catch a monster move. But besides the point, obviously we took out some liquidity after getting tagged in up there. This one did dig, how many points was that? 11.25, so it was 3 ticks away from hitting the stop. But this 15-minute fair value gap did save us. So obviously we did. This one was another 18 point. Actually, no, your last one would have been stopped at 6 points right here before it went up to a full 18. So you would have had 2 targets. You would have had 6. You would have had 12 hit right there. Almost got up to 18, but not quite. It was a couple ticks off. But besides the point, that was the last one. That entry happened about 5 minutes before the 10:30 window closes. So that is that for the morning session, I believe. Let's go ahead and count that up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9-0 on a day after Christmas. Count me in, man. Count me in. Can't beat that. Like I said, I'm just tape reading, throwing a couple demos, but other than that, nothing too crazy. Yeah, by the way, I've just been playing around with this for like a week, maybe like 4 trading days. Should show you the power of low time frame scalping, like my pinned tweet. Makes sense now, doesn't it? Makes sense now. Obviously, a couple of these were, depending if you're pulling one off at 6 or you're going break even there, you still would probably be about 5 to 6 R in profit. Just given a couple of them, I think 3 did go 18 points. But apparently this thing, per mark, this thing is just printing. I think it had like four setups in PM or lunch. I'm not really going to go over those because I don't want to draw out this video too long. But that is a recap of December 26th. Overall, it was a pretty great day. I was very, very pleasantly surprised with how this model performed today. I'll be honest, I did not expect this even remotely. I expected maybe 1 to 2 setups, but for it to have 9 on this low of a volatile day, it was pretty exciting, honestly. But like I said, this is good price action to study, especially using 1 minute structure. That's something I always keep in mind. I will occasionally bump up to like the 5 and the 15. That's why I have that 15-minute fair value gap marked out. But like I said, that is the recap of the AM session. If you have any questions, per usual, shoot me a tweet on Twitter or comment down below. Would appreciate it if you liked and subscribed, and I'll catch you on the next video. Peace.